Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today's video is exciting. I went to a antique slash vintage flea market outside in the parking lot. I have been here before. I thought I might have filmed here before, but I looked back through my videos and I couldn't really see where I'd posted it, so it might be that I did film one time and then never ended up posting it. I'm not sure, but basically I have been here before, I think 2 other times. It's like an hour or so away from where we live. So we were in the area and noticed that it was outside, so thought we would take a look. I love this flea market. So there is some modern things as well, but I would say the overwhelming majority is vintage and antique stuff, which is really cool, just seeing so much of it in the same spot. So I tried my best to capture as much of it as I could, but it was fairly busy. I think this might have been one of the first weekends that they were outside. They do it outside like every single week, like every Sunday, I think, maybe Saturday as well. I love all of the old glass doorknobs. They remind me so much of my grandma's house. She's still they're still there in her house, and she still had the skeleton keys and everything that still worked. It just reminds me so much of like childhood. I'm not sure how old that cast iron skillet was, but man, that looked in rough shape. I really liked those planters. So this is just a bunch of different vendors like all coming together, almost kind of like an antique mall vibe, but it's just outside. But this was the first time we'd been here this year. Like I said, I think it was probably the first or second week that they had set up. This person had so many cowboy boots, it was crazy. They also had a bunch of swords as well. One of my former roommates used to collect those, so it reminded me of him. This table had a lot of kind of miscellaneous type things, but I noticed this vase that I thought was super pretty. I think I try to show you guys the prices of things that I pick up, but not always, probably. Sometimes I just kind of forget that I'm filming and I'm just in the moment, so that's why. So I saw this Barbie here still in the package. I think it was 1996. And then these, I think they're called boson heads. We used to have a whole bunch at the thrift store I used to work at, like probably close to 100, I think, in total. I'm sure they still probably have a few stragglers left, but we had them up on a wall behind the cash. But I guess they're highly collectible. They're made from like chalk, I believe. I never even heard of them until I worked at that thrift store, but now whenever I see them, I think about working there. John was telling me to look at the old phone, and I don't know, I wasn't noticing it, but it's actually just a reproduction, because which is what I was pointing out to him, because it just has buttons on it, not, the put your finger in and you push it around. And then they had a couple of these old washboards. I feel like this is probably a few times that I've been saying this, but I really want one, but I just never seem to find one that is exactly what I want. And then we came across all of these marbles, which this took me back to being a kid so much. Like, I had not thought about them in such a long time, but when I was picking them up and holding them, when I was really young, we would play with marbles in my grandparents' driveway for hours. And John and I were talking about, because he used to play with them too when he was a kid, we were talking about, like, imagine giving a kid today a bag of marbles and telling them to play. I feel like they would be like, what am I supposed to do with these? But I swear we would spend 5 or 6 hours just doing nothing but playing with marbles outside. And it's weird because we live in a neighborhood with a lot of kids, but we rarely ever see kids outside playing. So we were talking about like how different it is just since we were kids in the 80s versus now, which, I mean, that's not that big of a time period, but the world has just changed so much. And then I saw these cute Mickeys. I'm not sure how old they were, but it was Mickey and Minnie. So not Mickeys, but Mickey and Minnie. They definitely look like they could have been like 20, 30 years old though. So I guess, I mean, that's pretty old now, even though that's weird because that's only like 90s. But then coming around at the end of the table, I noticed this old trunk. Not sure how old it is, but I love old trunks so much, but I really don't have room for one. I'm gonna say, judging by the price, it probably wasn't that old, but who knows. And they had this rack here, like a store rack with a bunch of kind of purses and stuff. I noticed this because it was like Harley Davidson, and we sell a bunch of like Harley Davidson clothes on the regular, so then somebody had a bunch of like tools and things like that spread out here on this tarp. So this isn't a really big parking lot, which is nice because things are not all on top of one another. And then again, just kind of like miscellaneous household things. I thought, I was trying not to, there was like a kid right next to this, so I was trying not to film the kid, but so I couldn't get a super good look, but it was like an old stroller. Not really a stroller, but like the parent could push it, but for the kid it feels like they're just riding almost like a bike type thing. I don't know what the right word is for that, but I definitely feel like that is probably 40 plus years old. So then this table ended up having a bunch of binders filled with trading cards, which I thought were going to be like baseball or hockey, but they ended up being these just a bunch of random different cards, not sports related. So I didn't really recognize the first ones, but then it ended up going into like Disney trading cards, which I don't remember ever seeing those, but it looks like there was like Little Mermaid and I think Lion King, so it was interesting. So I guess 90s era, so not that old. And then this next binder was filled with these I guess not really cards, but it's like Nesquik, like the chocolate syrup or something. I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. I don't know if those were like a collector thing that came with the tins or something. And then from there, it seemed to go into some Pepsi Cola trading cards, which was also interesting. I don't know if they're actually old though, like it or if they're just making it look like they're old, because it looks like the old Pepsi kind of logo, but they could just be doing that to make it look old. I don't know. They were cool looking. And then from the Pepsi cards, then we go into some Norman Rockwell trading cards, which I thought were really interesting. I'd never heard of these before, and again, these might be something that aren't actually old, but they're just made to look old, so I don't know. Feels like there's trading cards for everything, I guess. And then there was a bunch of jewelry. I think it was just like costume type jewelry and different random things in this big bin that I didn't really spend the time looking through, to be honest. I think I just kind of skimmed through it a little bit. And then the basket next to it looked like it was an old like bathroom vanity set, but I think it had so like, you know, the mirror and everything, but then it looked like it had other things like a light switch cover plate. Then we saw this old PlayStation here. John like resells video game stuff sometimes, so he was interested, but he said it was in rough shape, so it wasn't worth getting. And then a bunch more people had like tarps laid out with some random things on it. A lot of people had tools for sale, so I guess maybe not that old. Some of it didn't look that old. A green and yellow suitcase looking thing is actually an old camp stove. I thought that was cool, but I stopped filming because people came over, so I didn't want to, you know, intrude on people's experience. So I did see a little tub there of VHS, so I did end up going back and looking through those, but I didn't find anything that I didn't already have. And then this table had a whole bunch of books on it. I'm not sure how much they were, but I feel like they were relatively inexpensive. But then they had a bunch of kind of coffee table hardcover books. So I did end up finding a few things here that I ended up getting. One thing in particular I was not expecting at all, and I'm so happy that I found it. So I do show you what I ended up getting at the end of the video, but I was hoping I was going to find some vintage cookbooks on this table that I didn't already have, but I didn't have any luck with that. I think I did see a couple that yeah, this one here. I thought about getting this one, but I ended up passing on it, I believe. And then there were a few Better Homes and Gardens, but I already had all of those, so I was heavily considering this. I just collect Better Homes and Gardens, and Betty Crocker. But I have so many cookbooks that I'm running out of space for them, so I'm really trying to not buy like everyone I see. And then someone had a whole bunch of different framed photos of old cars, which I loved so much. When I was looking at all of them, I was like, oh, I could make a whole gallery wall with these, but I don't actually have room for that. But I'm sure these were just prints, is what I'm guessing, and the frames didn't look like anything impressive at all. So, but it was still really cool just to look at all of the old cars and stuff. I don't know. It was cool. I feel like old cars had so much style and were so beautiful versus today's cars, which are just ugly, I think, for the most part. I wish that they would make like old cars, but like with new technology. I'm surprised they don't, or maybe they do and I just don't know, but I feel like they would be popular with a lot of people. I don't know. I can't be the only one who thinks that. Like, I would love to own an old car, but I feel like you need to like know about cars to own one, because like they just need so much work all the time. So I'm not sure how old this doll was behind the glass. This was super creepy, and I think it just being behind the glass added to the creepiness factor. I loved this old cash register though. I thought this was so cute. I feel like this was probably like a 1950s toy. And then I saw this Ninja Turtle, which is probably from the 90s, and I noticed the Snoopy on this little egg, and then it turns out it was like a Whitman chocolate thing, but it was a bank. I thought it was actually cute. I'm actually surprised I didn't want to get that. And there was this old looking mug that was made from plastic. I loved this little gumball dispenser, the M&Ms. I thought it was super cute. And then I spotted one of my like holy grail items. I'm always looking for these. This Christmas Village. If you have been around for a while, you know last year I got a plastic one, the Alpine Village it's called. I think they were made in the 70s and 80s. My grandma had one when I was a kid, so I did get that and I love it. But this one is actually the cardboard houses. So I was freaking out and telling John, so he came over. I used to have one of these telephones when I was a kid, like really, really young, like a baby. I was trying to figure out if it was actually like the old one that I would have had, or if it was like a reproduction, because I think they've remade them a few times over the years, but it did look pretty old to me, so it might have been the one from the late 70s, early 80s. I felt like this table just had such a great mix of things on it. I was just having a great time. So then I spotted these old glasses from McDonald's. I mean, they're not that old. They're from the 90s, but they're from the movie Batman Forever, I think, or Batman Returns. I can't remember, but I think they were like 95, 96 era. So John and I were like talking about it, and then I noticed that they also had a Flintstones one from when the Flintstones came out, and they just took me right back to like the 90s when I saw them. So then John and I were just standing there for a while debating like if we should get them or which ones we should get. And John is a haggler for sure. I'm definitely not. I'd hate asking like to make a deal or anything. I don't know why. I feel like weird, but John is not at all. So he like just ended up talking to the guy to see if he could make a deal for them. I forget how much each glass was, but he ended up getting them cheaper. So spoiler alert, we did get a few. It's funny, the whole time we were there, I was just focused on the glasses, but when I'm looking at the footage now, I can see in the back, I think they're called maracas, like that you shake and make music with. They look really cool. And then I spotted this really old looking Disney World mug. It's like made from plastic, but it has all these old looking photos. This definitely looks very 70s to me. I wish I could just time travel and go back to like and go to Disney, but like old Disney, like from the 70s versus now, because I don't really care about any new Disney things. And I saw this Campbell's mug, but I don't know if that was actually old or if it was just meant to look old. This table was definitely filled with just like a random bunch of miscellaneous things from various eras. And then I did notice a whole bunch of DVDs, so I did take the time to look through those later, but you can see they're all kind of like bleached from being out in the sun for so long. This hat caught my eye because my dad was in the military and he used to wear one just like it, so I think I was looking to see if it was like Canadian military, I don't know. I thought this was super cute too. I'm pretty sure that I had something like this. I'm not sure if it was this exact one, but it's like a TV that I was telling John, it like spins around so you can like see the photo. I think that TV wasn't actually Fisher Price though, so it might have even been like a bit older than the Fisher Price, but those old like early 80s Fisher Price toys give me so much nostalgia because I think I had most of them. So then this table had a lot of older things on it, including a bunch of salt and pepper shaker sets, which I also collect, but I'm trying not to as much. They had these Smurf glasses up there that I had, and I've sold them on my Etsy shop. I don't think I have any left now, but they're super cute. I really liked these pigs, but I'm trying not to buy. I feel like I have enough right now. There's a few that I would love to have, but I'm probably not going to find them out in the wild. So other than those, I'm kind of trying not to buy anymore because I don't really need them and I don't have space for them. But they did have a lot of really cute ones there, so I wanted to show them. And then I ventured over to the last table, which I wasn't even planning on going because it didn't look like much over there, but I'm so glad I did because they have some cute stuff over here. So they just had some old tins and some like random stuff at the beginning of the table, but then I saw this magnetic dollhouse next to this train set. Here, I'm not sure how old the train set is, but this magnetic dollhouse I think is fairly old. If I had to guess, I would say 50s or 60s, but basically like sat on a table and you had these long kind of poles that you would put underneath and it would kind of, you know, pull the people through the house. I don't know why, but I loved seeing this. I thought it was really neat. I have no use for it, but it's just a cool piece to have. And to see like still in the box like that, I thought was really cool. And then next to it was this old looking little farm set and then this like rocking horse type thing, but it was really just like a thing that you sit inside with the horse on the outside. Anyway, so now I will show you what I got, which I'm probably like pretty much guessed what I got anyway because I kind of showed you during the video, but we did end up getting 4 of the glasses from the 90s McDonald's sets. So I can't remember how much they were, but John like got I think like $10 off of what the guy was asking for. So we did end up getting 3 of the Batman. 2 are like shorter and 1 is a taller one, and then we got 1. They just had 1 of the Flintstones ones, which I think I like the Flintstones one more than the Batman ones. But then I also ended up getting this Better Homes and Gardens holiday decorations book, which I'm really excited about. It's like holiday decorations you can make, I should say. So I was thinking maybe I should look through it and maybe make a few of the things this holiday season. So stay tuned, I guess, but I was excited about this. And this was from the 70s, so this is like right up my alley. I just kind of briefly skimmed through it. I love looking at like old photos and cookbooks and books like this. It just, and then I noticed that they actually had like a Halloween section in it as well as like I think a few other holidays. So I thought that was actually really cool. So maybe I will dig into this book in the fall. before Christmas and maybe make some things. I don't know, just it makes me really happy. And now we will take a look at my little Christmas village. I'm so excited about this. People commonly refer to these as Putz houses, but I believe like Putz was an actual brand and this isn't that brand, but it did have the original sticker on it. It was $4.50 originally. I think we only paid $10 for this, so that's not too bad. It did have the original cord in there as well. So this is made by a company called Alderbrook, which is like a very like prominent Christmas brand, or at least it was in Canada anyway. Like I have a bunch of other stuff from them as well. I think more like maybe in the 70s and 80s, maybe 90s too. So some of the windows on them are like missing or damaged, but I don't mind. I think overall they're in pretty good condition and I'm just really, really excited. I can't wait to set this up at Christmas time. I'm actually like so excited already for fall, even though it's not summer yet technically. And then as soon as like probably August comes, I get really excited for Christmas. I'm always like a season ahead, but I just can't help it. I love fall and Christmas so much. It's my favorite time of year from like September to January. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'm so excited it's yard sale season. I have a bunch of this kind of videos coming, and I'm hoping to do like even more and maybe go to some antique stores as well and film walkthroughs. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you again real soon.